If you are one of those people who is embarrassed to raise your arms or shake hands on a business meeting, then listen up. Excessive sweating is a problem thousands of people face when no amount of antiperspirant does the trick. But that's where Dr. Therese Stubbs of Therese Aesthetic Medicine comes in. So, Doctor, and we are talking about something that I think a lot of people can benefit from today.
Yes, and it's something that's common and rarely talked about because it's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing for a lot of folks, and this Mirror Dry, still relatively new, at least a lot of people maybe haven't heard of it that have this problem, but you say it's gotten even better.
It
recently.
has. We kind of pioneered this in the state of Ohio a few years ago, and we were thinking this is really going to help the hyperhidrotic patients that have excessive sweating. Now they've modified the technology such that we can do one treatment, and even people who are, as we call, sweat bothered, meaning they don't want to wear deodorant, or they're sweating through maybe a nice silk blouse, or they don't like the deodorant stains on their clothing. So usually with people with hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating, we used to have to do 2 of these treatments spaced out about 90 days. Now that the technology has improved, we can do one and done, one treatment, and they're 85 to 90% of their sweat gone.
And what exactly is Mirror Dry? What is the treatment you're talking
It's
about?
basically microwave energy. It's a wavelength that actually ablates the sweat gland in the underarm area. And people often ask, well, don't I need that? Isn't it healthy to sweat?
Right.
And 98% of our sweat glands are elsewhere in the body. So those will continue to perspire normally, and people can cool their bodies adequately. The 2% that's in the underarm area that are hyperactive, the body does just fine with those 2% deactivated.
Okay, so let's go through the treatment and show people how it works, the process itself.
Exactly. You're usually in the office about an hour, hour and a half. We numb up the area first with a little bit of lidocaine, so it's very comfortable. And the little handpiece is kind of put right under the axillary area. It's a topical handpiece, and it delivers this deep, deep heat energy. And so people don't feel that deep heat because they're numbed up by the lidocaine. So it cools the surface of the skin and puts that energy down deep where it basically attacks the sweat gland.
And are they gone forever once you go through this process?
Well, basically, about 95% of the sweat gland is gone right after the first treatment. We have had a few people, even with the newer technology, who come back in 90 days and still have a little bit of sweating, and we're perfectly safe to treat them again to get the last little bit. And we're out about 7 years from this technology being tested and FDA approved, and we've seen no return of these sweat glands.
That's incredible. All right, let's talk about downtime, discomfort. What is that involved?
Well, basically, as I mentioned before, you're in the office about an hour and a half, very comfortable during the treatment. We usually do send people home with a little bit of pain medication. It can get kind of achy that night when the pain medication wears off. A little bit of swelling. We usually tell people to hold off on a workout or any vigorous athletic activity for about 1 day or 2 days. People can go back to work the next day. It's just we wouldn't want them doing a vigorous kickboxing class or anything with their arms. Yeah.
Right. So who is an ideal candidate for this? Because you mentioned now you don't even have to really have a large issue. You could just be kind of annoyed by it, right?
Exactly. Anyone over 18 who's annoyed by their sweat glands overactive, or like you said, people who don't want to wear deodorant. As we're seeing on the screen right now, deodorants are aluminum based. They kind of take an aluminum and they plug the sweat gland. And there's people who just are allergic to parabens too, another chemical that's in a lot of our cosmetic properties. A lot of people who are into their organic foods and being very green, they want to stay away from aluminum and parabens. And so basically one Mirror Dry treatment, and they don't have to wear any deodorant for the rest of their life.
That's incredible.
Savings too, I guess.
I was going to say, yeah, savings too in that regard. Okay, so let's talk about how somebody would go into the office and go about getting Mirror Dry.
Well, they basically come in for a consultation. We talk about their issue and how it affects their life. We kind of go through the treatment, make sure they're medically good to have a procedure in the office. They can lay in the position that way for an hour. We've treated diabetics. We've treated people with a lot of other co-illnesses, and they do just fine with it.
And you guys are offering 20% off, which always is an added incentive.
Right. We always like to do something special for the daytime viewers, and summer's coming, so the warmer weather is here, we hope. So we're going to try to get people a little less perspiring for summer.
Okay, definitely a great option. Thanks so much, Dr. Ann.
Thanks for having me.